Tap in, y'all. Tap in. Y'all know what this is. Tap in, everybody. Y'all know what it is. It's the Nestle BT Man Kemperod Thud Moses the Great. Yeah, we got to talk about the decline of the great empire and how they got to this particular spot and why all empires decline the same way. Of course, like always, I'm going to give you a chance to call in and state your claim and get your get your point of view out there so you can see what's going on. Hey, go to my website, jewelsfromthethrone.com, and get y'all some of that good elixir. Also, too, we have these beautiful crystal bottles. Charge up your water. This one has obsidian crystal inside of it. Dope. What else am I looking for? Oh, yeah. One more thing. The number. So, yeah, I've been taking care of business, y'all. So I ain't been on here for the last few days. The king's been taking care of kingly business and taking care of everything that I need to take care of and doing my due diligence out here in the world. Let's see who we got in there. We have Aryan Nation in here. Aryan 232313 is trying to still convince people that that the ancient Egyptians weren't African. Boy, y'all done lost that debate so many damn times. I don't even know why you even still trying. But you have your right to try. But the thing is about this. At the end of the day, like I always tell white people, there's more pyramids in Nubia than there is in Egypt. And the people who founded Egypt come from Nubia. The king himself, Asar, Lord of the Perfect Black, came down to now. If you know what coming down to now means, it means he came from the southern part of Africa because the Nile runs from Ethiopia, where there's more black people, Tanzania, where there's more African people, and it dumps itself off into the Mediterranean Sea. So y'all still trying to make that debate for what? Is there a degree of knowledge that you have gotten there that you don't want the rest of the world to know? Is there a religion there that you don't want nobody to know? Because, Arian, if it did come from Eurasia, are you practicing that religion now? Are you practicing ancient Kemetic culture today? If I walked inside of your house, would I see a picture of the king? Would I see a picture of the queen? I thought so. You can talk all you want to, but at the end of the day, are you a practicer of the culture? And if you're not a practicer of the culture, then what's the point of you trying to convince black people that they're not Nubian or they're not Egyptian? It doesn't even make no sense. All that is just racism of knowledge that you're trying to hide from African people because you don't want them to practice a culture that you know is their original culture and how much it benefits them to go back and practice their original culture as opposed to practicing the satanic ritual of Christianity. I rest my case. But I'll give you a chance, Arian, to call in and you can state whatever you want to state because I'm that kind of king. I actually believe in the sharing of knowledge. And I want you to convince how the albinos from Europe were able to stand out in 120-degree weather and build mega pyramids in all of that heat. You couldn't even work the fields in America because it was so hot, let alone off the Nile banks of Egypt. Nobody's going for that. Come on, man. Let's just start to deal with reality. But we're having a blessed, beautiful week. A lot of trials and tribulations in life. But if you understand the process of both negative and positive energy, you will always be able to navigate yourself through it all. And that's the most beautiful thing about understanding the duality of the world in which we live in. You understand that negativity has to exist. And being that it has to exist, you understand that within that existence is you. You are a being consistent of both negative and positive energy, and you have the power to use both at your disposal. You can be negative or you can be positive. Now, there's consequences for both, but there's also benefits for both, as there is in everything in life. Ashe? Ashe. Ashe. So, what we're talking about here today is basically the chink in the armor of the great mighty American empire and why I had already prophesied. For anybody who's a member of my channel, you already know that I had already told you that Iran was not going to be defeated because they had studied military science and have been studying the American empire and known its weaknesses and have been taking advantage of those weaknesses to make sure that they what? Survive the war. People forget that just because you kill a leader doesn't mean you kill the army. Everything has a chain of command. And what does a chain of command do? A chain of command does exactly what a chain of command does. Once somebody is knocked off, the next person literally takes their place. If that person is knocked off, the next person takes their place. It's called a chain of command. So just because you killed the Ayatollah doesn't mean that you killed the Iranian people's spirit, especially a man who they already knew already had one foot in the grave. So killing an elderly man does not kill the spirit of the country itself. And what they have done is they have choked the economy to the point where the ripple effects have reached all the way over to America economically wise and has literally taken money out of our pockets as American citizens and have starved a lot of people in this country. You might not see it on an everyday basis, but people's pockets are hurting very badly. The cost of everything is going up. People's savings are declining, and the world economies are faltering. All because of a religious war between the Persians and the so-called Israelites. What has that caused the people to do? Be disgusted at their leaders in every sense of the word and fashion. Now, the thing about it is that there has been a prophecy that has been made by a lot of people who have stated that America was only supposed to be in power. Excuse me 1 second, y'all. America was only supposed to be in power 600 years. Now we're slowly approaching that 600-year date, and a lot of things have changing, and a lot of things are coming up that are a telltale sign that America is losing its dominance. The only way you can make America great again is literally to destroy the economies of the world and make everybody dependent upon America, as Trump has been doing. Destroying the oil fields over there in Russia, destroying the refineries in the Middle East, has made everybody dependent on American oil for their survival, except a few countries like China, who stored away enough oil where they can literally survive the oncoming World War III that is taking place in front of us right now. So, like I told y'all, why is America negotiating with a country that, according to Trump, has no military, has no leadership, has no navy, has no air force, but yet and still, you're still trying to find a table to sit them at so that you can negotiate some particular terms of an agreement. Now, I don't know about y'all, but growing up over here in America, there's never really been no negotiations with people who are in power. It's either you do what they tell you to do, or you face the end of the sword. But the thing about it is, it seemed like Iran got a sword within themselves too. And they've been putting together negotiating terms that has kind of made America have to sit back and call for a ceasefire. Something that I've never seen in the history of me studying war, where a country has gotten beaten so bad within a 2-month period that they had to call for a ceasefire, especially a country that is considered to be a first world country and a mega power. Now, to the average person, this might not seem like much, but for those who have a keen eye, you know that this isn't normal. This isn't normal. And the reason why it's not normal is because you don't negotiate with people who you consider to be terrorists, because according to American history, we don't negotiate with terrorists. But for some reason, America is negotiating with terrorists. We don't negotiate with dictator countries. But for some reason, America is negotiating with a dictatorship. Why is that? Well, the reason why it is because somebody getting their ass kicked. And after listening to Trump, he was not expecting that the Iranians would not only just seek to destroy America, but also seek to destroy every other country that deal business with America. And I don't understand how I saw this, but Trump did not. Or how I saw this, but the United States generals did not. Makes no sense to me. But what does make sense to me is the decline in power that has been prophesied by the elders of white supremacy slowly having a death by inches, destroying themselves, believing that other human beings would not catch up militarily wise. All through history, you can constantly see this pattern repeating itself. One nation comes out with a superior technology. The other nations sit back, analyze this superior technology, duplicate it for themselves, make advancements on it to defeat their enemy, and then go to war and use those advancements to their benefit. This happened during the Punic War when the Romans figured out how to actually build ships, because before then they wasn't a shipfaring country. This happened during the Russian War when the Russians came out with the AK-47, which gave them an assault rifle, which evened out the playing field of the battlefield. This happened with the Germans when they came out with their own version of an airplane and used it as a means of warfare. All through history, you constantly see human beings making advancements in war to counter their enemies. And like I told you, the Iranians skipped over the aspect of them having an airplane or an air force and went straight to missiles. And they produced them in the numbers where America couldn't keep up. Had to call timeout and sit at the table and try to negotiate with an enemy who they once called inferior. An enemy who they said was a terrorist in a dictatorship now has to sit down at the table and look at this enemy eye to eye and try to come up with some kind of negotiations. Why is that? The reason is because the world has caught up. And that's never good historically for the person who has come out with the technology. Once the world catches up to you, what happens is they sit back and they look at all of the evil things that you have done over history, and now you become judged for your past. You become judged for slavery. You become judged for imperialism. You become judged for colonialism. You become judged for inhumane treatment of human beings, because now your advantage of war slowly starts to decline. And the wheels of the universe don't turn forward, but turn backwards. So I expect within these next 3 generations for America to fall as the supreme country across the world, simply because of the fact that other human beings have caught up. Other human beings have seen how you've got your power and will now use your same power against you. A slow decline, a slow decline. When the sword was created with metal, another sword was created. Then science became plentiful for everybody. And slowly, the man who invented the sword sees his invention take shape across the world. And that same saying that goes, you live by the sword, huh? How's it go, y'all? You live by the sword and you die by the sword. The same thing that puts you in power is also the same thing that takes you out of it. The same gun that you use to destroy people becomes the same gun that you use to get destroyed. The same whip that you used on the slave's back becomes the same whip across yours. This is the natural process of man in history. For all men who seek power, always understand that you live by the sword and you will also die by it. And if you can accept that fate, then you can take your rightful place in history. But if you can't accept that fate, it's going to be a long, hard road. You see it in the Lion Kingdom. The same way the lion comes in, takes over the pride, kicks the other lions out, sits down, receives the nourishment from his prize of female lions as they go out there and they hunt for him and provide him with the nourishment that he needs. So too what happens is on a lonely day, another young lion comes to take his spot. This is the cycle of history. And if you don't understand that cycle of history, you'll never be in power or accept power. Me, myself, I have no problem with living by the sword. I also have no problem with dying by it because I understand that that's the natural cycle of history. If you want power, you have to be willing to risk it in order to obtain it. If you don't want power, then there's a nice little seat for you in the back that's reserved for those men who don't seek it. The Russians, Iranians, and the Chinese aren't playing around. China was once a world dominant culture. It failed too, but it's slowly back on the rise. Russia was once a world dominant power. It failed, but now it is back on the rise. Iran was a world dominant power. The mighty Persian Empire. It failed, but now it is back on the rise. This is the natural cycle of history. It's a natural process. People become babies, teenagers, adults, elders, death. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. Everything. But the thing about it is once you understand that cycle, then you understand where you must place yourself within that cycle. And a lot of people forget about that. These things happen. A lot of people who founded America founded America off of old technology from old dying empires. The Baghdad Battery taught people about the science of understanding electricity. The ancient Kemetic Empire taught people the science of architectural design, road building, religious architecture, and the structure of civilization. All of these things have a place. And I tell people it's good to hold on to that technology, record players, tapes, vinyls, because one day that technology might benefit you in the next rise of the next kingdom. The understanding of how people work mentally and what is their benefits of life can put you in a better position when the next society comes. And that's why I tell you, it's not by mistake that these rich people send over archaeologists to go over there and start digging up old graves and old tombs and old trash pots, trying to find old technology that they can use in these days and times. Because there's nothing new up under the sun. Missiles aren't old, aren't new. Airplanes aren't new. Cars aren't new. Buildings aren't new. Jewelry's not new. There's nothing new up under the sun. Space travel's not new. None of this stuff is new. But what it is new to is the people who don't know. And the people who don't know are usually the ones who don't search to know because they believe that these things are new. So, like I told you, the reason why Trump is negotiating with Iran is because America has lost its position over there. See, once you have an aura of invincibility and somebody comes and smacks you in the face, you kind of lose that aura. And then the people who was dependent upon you for safety don't really feel so safe no more. So in return, what happens is your aura of invincibility starts to decline. And when your aura of invincibility starts to decline, also does in your pockets. America spent close to over $1 trillion in this war right now, fighting against the Iranians. That's a lot of U.S. payers' tax money that could be gone towards putting money in the American people's pocket. But see, you're not ran by people who want to actually improve your life. You're ran by people who want to capitalize off of you. America is a slave state. It was founded as a slave state, and it remains a slave state. I remember listening a couple of days ago to a white lady who pointed out that where that binary goes, peace binary goes. He said, binary ghost, he said, space travel and planes aren't new. My guy, are you telling me you're an ancient alien type of dude? Come on, binary ghost. Listen, I'm going to say this to you, and I really want you to think about this. If man can lift a 40-ton stone 40 stories high, you telling me that he's having a problem with going in outer space? Let me say that again. If man can lift a 40-ton stone, 40 stories high, you think he has a problem with going into outer space? None of this shit is new. Nothing is new. Airplanes aren't new. Come on, man. You can go read some of the old Indian scripts and they'll tell you about space travel. You can go read the book of Enoch and they'll teach you about space travel. There's nothing new up under the sun. All of these things are just reinventions. It's like you telling me that this ring, America was the first country to start making rings. Come on now. But I appreciate the super chat, Binary Ghost. And you're always welcome to call in after I finish what I'm saying. But history has a way of repeating itself. That's why it's so important that you make sure that you take care of your bloodline and you get out of the way of the mad men in the world who seek to destroy so that you don't get caught up in a situation like Babylon. People don't listen. Nuclear technology is not new. It teaches you that in the Bible. When people turned into a pillar of salt from walking from having their country destroyed in Babylon, that wasn't, listen, I don't even know how to explain that to you, but this shit is not new. This is a repeat. I gotta tell you all the time, there's only two kings that run this world, and that's Set and Asar. It has always been that way. Always. And I don't even call them ancient aliens because there's only two type of organisms: humanoid organisms and robotic organisms. Robotic organisms are equipped for space travel. Humanoid organisms are not. You get out there in space and you don't have that constant gravitational pull pulling on your body, you start getting osteoporosis, your body starts to deteriorate because you're meant to be on this planet, just like the rest of the organisms that are on this planet. That's why when Elon Musk talking about going to Mars, he talks about people, but he's really going to send the robots out there first. You should know that. So, robots aren't new. Sorry to tell everybody, robots aren't new. None of this technology is new. You gotta remember, America has produced this technology within a 100-year span. If we start from the 1900s to now, of the discovery of electromagnetism with Nikola Tesla and him introducing the AC power lines to everybody and the AC induction motor, those are the things that spark the robotic technology that you have today. All that comes from Nikola Tesla. You should know that. So like I said, none of this is new. And we've been doing this forever. Inventing, reinventing, coming back up with stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I know a lot of y'all would like to think that you invented airplanes and you invented cars and all this stuff is made by America, but this is old technology, bro. None of this stuff is new. What happened before is, and that's why I say it's good to study, is that when you look at the top part of Africa, it's all desert. Why is that? When you look at Arabia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, why is it all desert? You know why? Because those countries have had nuclear explosions before and it desertified all of that area. Atlantis used to be right here in Africa, right here, the top of Africa. It got destroyed. So, like I said, none of this is new. You think that nuclear technology is new? You think that electricity is new? Come on now. These are just reinventions. Next, you go tell me buildings and everything else is new. None of this shit is new, bro. None of it. It's just a constant cycle that we keep repeating. And it's the same cycle that you go through as a human being. You're born, you reach your peak, you survive, you reproduce. Then after that, you do what? You decline. And then what? You die. It's no different than anything on this planet. Whether it be the sword, whether it be anything, it all has an expiration date on it. Matter constantly is changing over from one object to the next. The only thing constant is energy. You see what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's constant. Constant is energy and the shape and transformation of it. And once you understand that, you understand life and the process that we're constantly going through as human beings, from one empire rising to falling, from another empire rising to falling. It's the same cycle that man goes through because it's built by man. So anything built by man has to go through that same process. Born, live, die. Period. So with that all being said, like I said, for the first time, somebody brought up Nagasaki earlier. I saw that. But this situation ain't no nuclear situation where we're dropping a bomb on somebody and forcing them to sit at the negotiating table on terms of surrender. The Iranians aren't surrendering. They have terms that they've given to America, wanting America to surrender. The Japanese didn't offer terms of surrender for America to surrender, but the Iranians have offered terms to America for surrender. And America has offered terms to Iran, but they're at a stalemate because their defenses have become impregnable. America can't penetrate the Iranian defenses, no matter how much they have tried already. They lost during the 12-day war. And this is all stuff that Trump has admitted. He admitted during the 12-day war that Iran beat the shit out of Israel. He admitted during this, 50-some day, 60-some day war that it's been so far, that Iran has beat the shit out of the Middle East. He's admitted that on camera. So there's no need, there's no terms of negotiation of the surrender that America is handing Iran like they did during World War II when we dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then told them, look, if we drop a third one, it's going to be in Tokyo. America hasn't went that far yet. And I don't think Trump really wants to go that far because American soil hasn't been hit the same way that Pearl Harbor was hit. You got to remember the Japanese destroyed all of America's Pacific fleet. Done. So they had no choice but to either drop the nuclear bomb on Japan or risk the chance of their whole western flank being overran by the Japanese and losing Hawaii in the process. This situation is different. So you can't compare Nagasaki to this war with Iran. Iran is a more calculated enemy, and America has more to lose and feels like they are in a process of where the best bet is to try to sit down and talk to the Iranians because it's not just America that's at stake. And then there's not no guarantee that if you do drop a bomb on Iran, that they'll stop because, for one, they haven't found the enriched uranium. So being that they haven't found the enriched uranium, who's to say that Iran itself doesn't have a nuclear bomb? Whereas with Japan, we knew for a fact that Japan didn't have no nuclear bomb, but we're not quite sure that the Iranians don't have a nuclear bomb. And we know that they're capable of launching missiles that could be intercontinental. So now you risk the possibility of a nuclear exchange as opposed to a one-way nuclear war. And this is all common knowledge. All you got to do is just listen to them. They'll tell you this. We haven't found the enriched uranium. The enriched uranium can be used for a dirty bomb, used for all kind of stuff. So there's always that possibility that if America launches a nuclear attack on Iran, that they might look up in the sky and see some nuclear bombs coming back. And then it would be so much of an outcry in the international community that America's status will continue to drop. This is the possibilities that's going on right now. And that's why America literally has to use the tactics that it's using by adapting its warfare now to asymmetric warfare against the Iranians also. The Iranians have decided that not only are they going to block the Straits of Hormuz, but they're talking about cutting off the motherfucking internet, cutting the cables down there also. So it's a whole lot going on, and it's a lot to lose with an enemy that you can't just defeat militarily because they're using asymmetric warfare. They're not fighting you military to military. They're fighting you. They're fighting your banks. They're fighting your means of economics. They're doing everything that they can because they have to in order to put pressure on America to back off of their country and put pressure on the Israelis to stop impeding on the Middle East and trying to establish a greater Israel across the Middle Eastern countries. And then on top of that, they're backed by two nuclear powers. Iran is backed by Russia, a nuclear power, and backed by China, a nuclear power. And they both have seats in the international court. They both have seats in the UN. So it's just not that easy to just go over there and just wipe them out because they have so much backing. And then on top of the fact is, across the world, they're not looked at as the aggressor. They're looked at as defending their land because they were attacked and their president or their king was assassinated. So all of those things are working against them in this war. This ain't just a kickover war where they can just be like, hey, bow down to me, I'm your God. It's not working. The intimidation's not working. The economic pressure's not working. The military pressure's not working. So when none of that is working, you got to sit your ass down at the table and talk because you have lost your power to militarily dictate to people across the world the terms of engagement. You have lost your economic power because over there, the Iranians run everything. And they've put pressure on the Sunni Muslims to the point where they're complaining and thinking about booting America out of there because now you've become more of a liability than an asset. And that's just part of the process of all great nations when they step out of their comfort zone of just being a superpower. Now they're trying to be an imperialistic power when all of the other nations have militarily caught up. The facts are what they are. This ain't America where we're the only one with airplanes. We're the only one with tanks. This ain't the 1800s, you know what I'm saying, where the British come in, the Red Coats is coming in, and they're the only ones with guns and cannons. Everybody got guns and cannons now. Everybody got missiles, airplanes, bombs. That technology now has become as plentiful as the sword was back in the ancient days. There is no one weapon that you can come in with and sweep everybody out of the way and force them to bow to your will. You can't do that no more. Those days are over. The only thing you can do now is what you're trying to do is keep the Iranians from getting nuclear weapons so that you can keep that strategic advantage over them. Because that's the only reason why you don't want Iran to have nuclear power. It's so that you can keep a strategic advantage over them and you can turn around and do them the same way you did Muammar Gaddafi. You can just come in there and just wipe them out of the way. And that's why you're having such a hard time. And that's why you gotta sit your ass down at the table and seek to negotiate with a dictatorship regime, with a terrorist regime, because you can't defeat them militarily on the battlefield. Because once they start launching those missiles, there's no negotiating with a missile. There's no negotiating with drones. Once they're gone and the coordinates is laid, the next thing is it's just a wait and see as if they hit their target or not. If you disagree with me, you can call me in at 323-497-6825. Don't be shy. Call in and tell me about how great white supremacy in America is and how you're going to make all the races of the world bow down to your Aryan brotherhood and defeat all of the races across the earth. The number is 323-497-6825. 323-497-6825. That's 323-497-6825. 6825. I would love to hear what you have to say. I seriously doubt it, though. Ah, you live by the sword, you die by it. You live by the missile, you die by it. History always repeats itself. That's 323-497-6825. Don't be shy. I'm sure I've intimidated a lot of people, but there's no need. 323-497-6825. That's 323-497-6825. Y'all know what this is? It's the Nesubiti Men Kepara Thutmosius the Great building in the building. Facts, facts, facts. But other than that, you know, what I was building on earlier was I was listening to a white woman speak earlier, and she was talking about how when you go inside of the American cities, all of the trees that are inside of the cities are all male trees, and none of them bear no fruit. Something I've been talking about for a very long time, but none of them bear no fruit. And the reason why none of them bear no fruit is because they were scared that the slaves would literally eat all of the fruit that would be inside of the cities, and that would make it hard for them to have a population of workers if you can't use food as an instrument to make them get up and work. And I think her channel's called It's Really That Deep. Shout out to the lady who sparked that out. But it's something that I've already knew, but it's just crazy to me to see that now a lot of white people are actually starting to see that the cities that you live in weren't designed to keep you free, but really designed to keep you enslaved. And see, that's the crazy thing about it. And I tell people this all the time. When I was locked up for 11 years, the correctional officers that worked inside of the prisons were locked up too. They were just as miserable as the prisoners that they were keeping hostage. See, the cold thing about it is that in order to enslave somebody, you must be enslaved yourself. In order to capture another human being, you must capture yourself also. And when you design a city designed off of capitalism, then guess what happens? You also design the city not based on freedom. And the same people who once were enslaving people and using that as a tool to enslave people turn around and realize they have enslaved themselves. And that's part of the wickedness of when you design the city this way. And the thing about it is that you would think that people who actually read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations will remember the part in Genesis where God put Adam and Eve in a garden for them to eat from every tree, within that garden. Now, this European design of a city, there is no garden no more. Every tree around here only bears thorns and thistles. It's gotten so bad to the point where you look at a lot of the businesses, establishments out here, they literally put cactus in front of their businesses because they don't want the homeless people to build encampments in front of their businesses. So they put cactus and those kind of plants around because they just don't want the people who are homeless to sleep on the street. And like I tell y'all, the way you start off with something is the way you finish. America started its whole nation off of slavery. And now the same people who were once doing the enslavement of the people have now found themselves enslaved. Now they've put up all of these borders on everybody, and now they have nowhere to go. And it's very, very sad when you start off to build your civilization like that, where you don't work with the process of actually building up the people, but you work on the process of actually controlling and enslaving the people. And you use that practice all the way to the point where now you call yourself a first world country, but yet it's really just a technologically advanced slave nation. The technology is not used to free man, but it's used to what? Enslave man, enslave women, and enslave children. Is this is this the best that the Europeans have to offer for the world? Not a garden, but a prison. Not a paradise, but a hell. Not land of the free, but land of the enslaved. Out here in California, they have this beautification process that they have going on right now. And they're going around different parts of the cities and they're planting trees, trying to beautify the place, and they're cleaning up and picking up the trash. Things that they didn't care about literally 2 years ago when the California was literally full of trash, full of homelessness, you know what I'm saying? Disease and drug infested. Didn't care nothing about that 2 years ago. But now all of a sudden, with the Olympics coming here, now we want to spruce up the place and clean the place up and shine everything down and make it look like it's been like this for a long time. So out of talking with one of the people that was going around planting trees, and I said, hey, you ever think about maybe that, it'd be beneficial if instead of us just keep putting up all these male trees around here that's spewing all of this pollen all over the damn place, that it'll be probably be beneficial to start putting up some trees that actually bear fruit so that people could actually eat. And I know it wasn't a question for them because they're just doing their job. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And I asked them, I said, are these trees that y'all planting, are they female or male? I think she caught on to what I was saying and was like, oh, they're hermaphrodite trees. Now, I never heard of a hermaphrodite tree, but I'm sure it's probably a possibility. But it just shows you the rich mentality of how they literally build the societies that you guys live in. And they don't build the societies to actually be good for the people. They make the societies actually just supposedly look good, but there's nothing actually that's beneficial for the people themselves. And then they wonder why crime is the way that it is. They blame it on the people, but don't blame it on the design of the city itself. And I'm sure, a lot of Europeans, y'all probably like, oh, well, why we want to build trees that got fruit in them and stuff? Because it's a resource. And keep human beings who, once they get in a state of mind of hunger, are liable to do anything to kill that. And when you build a society that's based upon enslavement of the people, as opposed to the benefit of people actually living, then you can't get mad when people point out the obvious. You can't get mad when people look at you and say, you're a disgusting race of people. Because your leaders don't build paradise for people on the planet. They only build imprisonment for people on the planet. And then they go around to these other countries around the world trying to dictate to them what civilization is supposed to look like, when their own civilization that they have within themselves is garbage. And that's the only thing that it produces. You can't get mad at nobody else but yourself for what people call you. Because instead of actually building a civilization that benefits the people, you only benefit a civilization that benefits the rich. That only benefits capitalism. That doesn't work towards the freeing of man, but the actual enslavement of them. The truth is what it is. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it is what it is. Everybody's had a chance to actually look at what you've done. And you can't hide it because it's literally hiding in plain sight. It's hiding in plain sight. Everybody who literally sits back, sits down, look at society and says, damn, how come every tree that's around me don't bear no fruit? Then I remember back in the 80s growing up about how me growing up in Compton, it was a whole bunch of fruit trees. Kumquat trees, orange trees, tangerine trees, apple trees, all kind of fruit-bearing trees. But for some reason, over a slow period of process, the city decided that it wasn't beneficial for the stores to have fruit trees. So what did they do? They came out with this so-called fruit fly problem. And they used that as a term to start spraying the trees and killing them. Start taking the Roundup and start spraying the trees down and killing the trees. All the fruit trees. Now, the population of fruit trees in California and the inner cities, let me say that, in the cities, ain't what it used to be. And this is also that the capitalists inside of America could increase their bottom line. Not so that you could always be able to walk around and eat and, like we used to do when we was kids and go to the kumquat trees and pull fruits off of them and eat them. Go over here while we've been running and playing around all day. Kids can't do that no more. Now the kids, if they ain't got $1 in their pocket, let me take that back. If they ain't got $2 in their pocket, they can't eat nothing. So you literally are living in a barren land inside of the cities. Completely barren. With none of the trees around there grow any fruit. And don't get out there as an American citizen and try to plant your seed in the ground and try to grow something for yourself. The city's going to come and tell you that growing fruit on public land is against the law. Growing fruit on public land is against the law. How stupid have people gotten? It reminds me of a time, man, where I remember looking at this trustee guy walking around with the officers, helping them put up barbed wire on the prison fences. And I just thought to myself, what the irony? You telling me you helping these people put up the barbed wire in the fence and you got to go into a cell too? People to build their own prisons. And when you listen to these elected officials, none of it is about the improvement of man. None of it is about improvement of the people. It's always about we're going to undo what the last administration did. We're going to try to provide you with some money relief as opposed to environmental relief. Because money is not your God, unless you did not know that. Even though your God, for most of you people in America, is the government of democracy, the God, is your God, nature is your first creator. You can improve your life by improving nature, by getting rid of the toxicity in your communities. By putting more fruit-bearing trees up inside of your community. Might not seem like a lot, but it goes a whole way towards making sure that people always have something to eat. And that you as a citizen is not 100% dependent on Ralph's. Is not 100% dependent on Vaughn's. Is not 100% dependent on any of the convenience stores in order for you to eat. You should be able to walk around in your environment and pick from the fruits of the trees that are around there. To me, that makes more sense than living in a society where we all know that majority of the food that you get out of the stores are GMO, are toxic. When these people could completely control your water, completely control your food, what do you control? Listen, absolute power corrupts absolutely. You give these people complete control over you. Don't get mad when they raise the prices up on you once they realize that they got you. You know why bread used to only cost 5 cents? You know why? Because majority of the people were still making their own bread. You know why fruits used to only cost a dime, a quarter? Because people still had their own fruits. You know why water used to only cost a quarter, a nickel? Because people could still go down and get their own water. Now everything costs a whole lot. You know why? Because they know you dependent. You can't go get your own water. So if he raised the price, you might get mad. You might talk some shit, but there's nothing you can do about it. The price of eggs went up to $10. Everybody starts complaining. Well, guess what? If you had your own chickens and you was making your own eggs, and majority of the people were doing that, you wouldn't even be complaining because you know that that price wouldn't be able to stick because those eggs would just rot in the store because majority of the people would still have control over their own eggs. The prices keep going up because the leaders realize you have no control. You don't have your own destiny in your own hand. You don't control your own water. The elites do. You don't control your own food. The elites do. You have no control over nothing. And they keep planting all these trees inside of your community to make it look good, but it ain't good. The truth is what it is. We can sit around and complain about all the prices in the economy all we want to, but the rich just sit back and they just keep checking off all of your freedoms. Check. No water? Check. No food? Check. You keep building the walls higher and higher and higher for yourself. You keep making your imprisonment more and more for your own self. Human beings deserve to be free, not enslaved. But you won't be able to free yourself if you keep letting the elites dictate your environment. If you disagree with me, please tell me. The number is 323-497-6825. 323-497-6825. Please tell me why a piece of bread that once cost a nickel now costs $3-4 for a loaf. Huh? And if you have something negative, don't put it in the chat. Call. Stop being a coward in a chat line. Be a man or be a woman. Please state your case. Tell me why you ain't got nothing to eat at your house. Tell me why you ain't got no garden no more. And why you ain't got no chickens in your backyard. Huh? Can't do it, huh? 323-497-6825. Boy, that truth is real, ain't it? Hey, yo. Oh, man. I'm telling you, yo. The truth hit harder than a ton of bricks. Talk to me.
Hey, it's Binary Ghosts.
Who?
Binary Ghosts.
Oh, Binary Ghost. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hope you're having a good day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
The bread cost, that's more of inflation and cost of
Well,
production.
what's inflation? Tell me. Hold up. Stop. Now explain that to me. What's inflation?
Oh, okay. So when they print more money,
Uh-huh.
it values the currency you do have. And they've
Mm.
been doing a lot of that very recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the money's currently not backed by anything physical. It used to be backed by like gold and silver. It was under Nixon?
Uh-huh.
Someone before Nixon. They got us off the gold standard.
Uh-huh.
And just it's this whole cycle of the Fed prints the money, and that gets loaned out to the banks, and then it all is this whole debt.
Well, let me hold up. Binary Ghost. Now, I know you intelligent dude, man. You be on my show all the time. You super intelligent, so I gotta educate you real fast. You hear me? Okay, now you know that money, we ain't gonna necessarily say that it's paper, but we know that it's not food, right?
That is true, yes.
Okay, so we know that money is a source of magic, not to liberate the people, but to enslave them. You know that, right? As a means of forms of exchange of goods and services, correct?
I wouldn't go so far as to say.
Okay, well, let me break it down to you. Let me ask you a question.
But it certainly can be used that way.
Let me ask you a question. Money and products are all based upon supply and demand, correct?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, so if there's a high supply, right, and the demand is low, what does that do?
That should drive down prices.
That should drive down prices, correct?
Yeah.
So let's just say hypothetically, right? Everybody was producing and making their own bread, correct?
Yeah.
Would that make the price of bread go up, or would that make the price of bread go down?
Oh, it would certainly go down.
It would certainly go down. So would you say that? Okay.
But bread still has to be cheap enough so that people will understand that, hey, it's probably not worth my time to go and make my own bread versus I'll just buy it from the store, right? That, like, even if they are pushing prices up on these goods, there's still that. And with the way things are today, like, you can't really make the argument like, oh, people don't know how to make their own bread. Like, you can go on your phone and just Google it, like, hey, how do I make bread? Bam. You got, like, all the history and knowledge of humanity to teach you how to make bread. It's not that hard either. It's just people will exchange their money for the bread in the store, even if it's like $1 more expensive than next month, because they figure, well, you know what? It's probably not worth my time to actually get the ingredients, throw them together, put it in the oven. It's probably going to suck the first few times, so that's going to be a waste of money on the ingredients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So at least with food, they still have to worry about that part. Now, for things to grow, right? Like, I mean, very few people are going to have the means or tolerance farmlands to grow their own wheat and grind it to their own flour, right? So
No. Well, the thing about it, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole point. Binary goes. The people, the people always have the time to produce for themselves, right? But the thing is that they have been socially engineered into believing that the store is the only place that they should go, and not nature. Nature, the store has become people's god as opposed to nature. People have been breaded out of providing their own means of production and things of that nature. They've been breaded out of that. And that's why I was telling you about the whole process of where I grew up in Compton, majority of the trees around there being fruit trees, as opposed to then in the 80s, them coming around and saying that there's this fruit fly that's coming around, and then they spraying this stuff around the city and it end up killing the damn trees. And then instead of the city replanting fruit trees back inside of the cities, now they plant trees that don't bear no fruit at all, which leaves the people totally dependent upon stores. So if you're the person that's a capitalist and you're trying to actually get people to buy more stuff up out of the store, which is going to increase your bottom line, the first thing that you want to do is you want to socially engineer them out of their own means of production.
I mean, perhaps, but like,
Perhaps?
how much? Yeah, but how much room does someone have in
What do you mean?
city to actually grow with it? Like private.
No.
I'm not talking about fruit trees that are like along some sort of like easement or curb or something in front of an apartment building that'll feed like a person. Meanwhile, you got like 40 people living in the building behind the tree, man. Like, you have a nice idea. I don't think that's sustainable, but like,
Well. See, hold on. Because you see something else that's very important. Back in the olden days, people living in apartments was not even thinkable. Because to live in an apartment was to be literally giving up all of your means of production. People were more interested in a house and land as opposed to living in an apartment. Apartment became a means of a person for living dwellings once they started coming out after the civil rights movement and things like that, where now they started putting people in what they called project housing where now instead of you being able to provide your own means of production, everything was provided to you by the government. That's where you get government cheese and government housing and stuff like that. You were taken out of your ability to provide for yourself, and now the government became your father and your mother.
yeah, I'm familiar with projects. I grew up around.
So apartment buildings ain't it's not a natural environment for a human being. Apartment is just something that now, what I'm saying, we use. But this is what I'm trying to show you, Binary Ghost, is that this is all part of a social engineering process of making people better slaves so that they will work more in society, because they would have to work because they can't provide themselves with anything. If you live in an apartment, you can't go out there in the wheat field and do anything. You can't, go out there and plant your own trees. You can't do nothing because all of those things have been taken away from you because you have put yourself in a dwelling where that's no longer possible. And then trust me, you might look at it and be like, well, that's maybe just a pop. But these people sit around 8, 9, 10 hours a day and devise cities this way. And like I told you, this information I'm telling you, this was a white woman that had observed this. I didn't observe it, the way that she did. But she had perfectly said it, that the cities were designed to make sure that the slaves themselves can't provide for themselves, and they would have to always keep working because there's no food around there for them to eat. So literally the old statue of if you don't work, you don't eat has literally come true. Unless you go to a, county line or something like that. But for vast majority of people that live inside of the cities is no way a means for them to actually be self-sustainable, except through their income of money, which is just magic.
I'm not necessarily going to disagree with you on that. But it's not much better for people who do have a house with a yard, land, and all that sort of stuff, because you can't just stop working. You got to pay property tax. If you don't pay property tax, you lose all that land and house.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it right on the head, Brian. There it goes. Shit, I agree with you. if you don't keep working and giving your energy to the elite, what happens? Because all they do is, as we see now, they take that tax money and throw parties with it and go buy bombs and airplanes and things like that. That tax money is not actually for the benefit of the people itself. It's for the benefit of the elite.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with it. Another thing, if you're going to go along these lines, right, another thing to think about is that a lot of places.
I got somebody else calling me. Call me right back, Binary Ghost. I got somebody else calling me. I'm going to see what they're going to say. All right. I appreciate you. Bye. Bye-bye. Talk to me.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. This is my first time seeing you on YouTube.
Hey.
Keep up the good work. I think you are so right.
Huh? Can you turn your background? Can you turn your background music down, your background sound down? I don't want it echoing through the phone. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm back with you now.
Uh-huh.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I think you are so right. I'm so glad I seen you on first time I ever say. Keep up the good work.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Telling the truth.
No, I appreciate you. You agree with everything what I'm talking about?
Oh yes, sir. And I'm calling from Virginia.
Oh, you from Virginia? Yeah, I used to live in Virginia.
Okay, I'm calling you from Chester, Virginia. Keep up the good work, brother.
Okay, can I ask you a question, brother? How old are you?
I am 86 years old.
Woo! You got some knowledge.
But you are so right.
You got some knowledge, brother. Have you seen over your 86 years? This is something that I tell people all the time, is that the process of change in society doesn't happen overnight, because it's like the process of the frog and the water thing. You know, they only turn the heat up just a little bit, then they wait for the frog to adjust to that heat, then they turn it up a little bit more, and then
you are so right.
Have you been seeing that in your society? I mean, when you was growing up, how many fruit trees did you see growing up around in society?
Yes, it was a whole lot different. You are so right. I'm so surprised that you know this now. Keep up the good work, brother.
Okay. What kind of fruit trees did you see growing up all around in your community?
We had all kinds. Apples, peach, plums. You are so right.
What happened to them? Did you just see them slowly just disappear? Where do you think they went? Where do you think they went?
Oh, you know the sister. Yard. You know what happened. It disappeared.
The reason why I'm asking you is because you're 86 years old.
Yes, sir.
And being that you're 86 years old, you have seen the transformation of society becoming 1940. Wow.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, you've seen it. So you've seen the transformation of society going from, food available everywhere for people to eat, to now you have to go to a store in order to eat.
Oh, yes, sir. You are so right. And I'll tell you something else. And when I was in school years ago, I read in the paper that they want to get everybody in America on medicine. So I decided at that time I would not get on no medicine. I don't take no medicine.
So say that again. Repeat that for the audience. I want them to hear that. Repeat that again for the audience.
Yeah, when I was going to school, it was an all-kind paper. They wanted to get everybody in America on medicine.
On medicine.
So I decided at that time that I'm not going to get on no medicine. I don't take no medicine. I don't have no problems. And I also work every day.
Wow.
And I don't use no stick to walk.
I heard that.
But see, a lot of people that's on medicine don't have to be on medicine. It's just a game they play.
Huh.
Yeah. And what is your name, sir?
My name is Min Kepara the Great.
Okay. And you coming from where now?
I'm out here in California.
Well, I'm so glad I tuned into you today. I don't know what to do.
Oh, I appreciate you calling. I just you just a wealth of knowledge. There's so much I want to ask you right now. Do you have 5 minutes? Because there's a couple other questions that I want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you was growing up, right?
Yes, sir.
Were apartment buildings available all over the place?
Oh, now.
None.
At that time, and see, I was born in North Carolina. So at that time, there was no apartment at that time. But they started putting them up. The projects, I call them. Yeah. Now, even though we was poor, but my father didn't never put us in no apartment. But we lived in a rented house, and at that time, I think rent was about $5 a month. $5 a month. $5 a week.
$5 a week. Wow.
But that was back there in the 40s. So I decided to myself, I said, I talked with my friend. I said, God, the money you paying for rent because on our own home. Yeah. So back there in those days, a lot in North Carolina was costing $500. So we bought a lot and put a house on it. But we still have plum trees in the yard. Huh. Plum trees. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Did you have chickens in the backyard?
We raised some chickens too. Yes, we did.
You raised
during them times.
What about rabbits? Did y'all raise rabbits?
No, we didn't raise no rabbits, but we had plenty of chickens.
What about cows? Did y'all have cows?
No. See, we were living in town at that time.
Okay.
And at those days, cows were not allowed in town.
Woo! Say that again. In those
Cows
days,
were not allowed in town.
A cow was not allowed in town.
Yes, correct.
And you know what's so crazy when you say that? You know, they used to judge men back in the old kingdoms. A man was judged by how many cattle that he had.
Right. You're so right. Yeah. You are so right.
Yeah. So when they was building these towns, from what I'm hearing, they was building these towns not to free the people, but to what?
Enslave them.
Enslave them. Wow.
Yes, sir. I'm so glad. I'm on. Well, you come on all the time like this?
I don't come on all the time because I'm a busy man. I have a lot of things to do running my own kingdom. You know what I mean? But
okay.
I do try to come on Monday through Friday. You can catch me around this time, around 11 o'clock Pacific time.
Okay. I'm so glad to listen to you because you are telling the truth.
Man.
And one thing about it, the truth will set you free.
Facts. What's your name, brother?
So
Oh, you hung up. The number is 323-497-6825. That's 323-497-6825. 323-497-6825. You hear that? You couldn't even bring a cow in town. So the whole purpose of building these societies is not to empower the man, but to take his power away from him and enslave him. That man's 86 years old. A wealth of knowledge. I love talking to the elders because they give me so much insight on being able to actually see the transformation of society. When you listen to them and they tell you, hey, I remember when this used to be like this and this used to be like this. The reason why it ain't like that no more is because somebody done sat their ass down and decided that this ain't going to benefit the city no more. And their overall plans of indoctrinating and socially engineering the people. Talk to me. Who am I speaking with?
Excuse me. My name is Rosemary. I'm here in Florida.
Hey, Rosemary.
Channel. I agree with mostly everything you said about those fruit trees. I'm in Florida, and I remember back in the 80s, the state of Florida, the governor wanted everybody that had orange trees, grapefruit trees, we had guava trees, we had mulberries, we had sea grapes, we had Spanish lime, mangoes, wheat, coconuts. We did not even want for a snack. This was back in the 60s when I was growing up. But in the 80s, the state of Florida blamed it on fruit flies. We didn't have no fruit flies. My mom had an orange tree and a grapefruit tree in the yard, and the state made her cut it down. And then, yeah, and we had to go to Home Depot to get more. In other words, they would substitute the fruit trees for other kind of shrubbery instead of fruit trees. My mom was so mad the state didn't reimburse her enough money for her trees. I said, we don't have no fruit flies in the state of Florida. And I know the state of California is in the orange industry just like Florida. Yep. So my thing is, you don't hear telling no fruit flies anymore. Where they went? That was garbage. And they claim that the growers here in Florida, the leaves were black and they wasn't producing enough oranges, and they went to people, went in their yards and inspected mostly everybody's yard that had a fruit tree in it. Oh, you gotta cut that down. You gotta say, oh, we'll reimburse you. They didn't reimburse my mom enough money to even cover nothing. Nothing. So, just like I said, when we were growing up in the 60s and the 70s, we had all kinds of fruit trees. I had a store. We had a store across the street from us. An old man. We used to call him Mr. Batten. Mr. Batten had a nice, beautiful, clean, nice store. You would smell the apples. Time you walk into the store, you smell the apples and the oranges that he had on display. We would walk in there, but we didn't go hungry. We did not go hungry because my mom had 3 mango trees in a yard, 2 coconut trees, and then we had an almond tree. I mean, now you can't see any of those plants anymore, any of those trees anymore. They disappeared. And say something. When you want to enslave a population, you have to take away their own personal means of providing for themselves. That's right. You know what I'm saying? And see, there's all different kind of ways of slavery. You know, there's economic slavery, there's wage slavery, there's bondment. You know what I'm saying? And bondment slavery, where you know what I'm saying, you're a servant of a people. You know, there's other ways where you can take a means of a person's natural ability to plant a seed in the ground, because trees don't provide just one generation with wealth; they provide many generations with wealth. And you know what? What's your name again? Menkepera. Menkepera. Yeah. My dad was a farmer here in Florida. He was a farmer. He grew okra, he grew tomatoes, string beans, eggplants, and squash here. But all that stuff grows here in Florida. And the thing is, most of the we don't have no black farmers no more. That's the whole plan. That was the plan. Yeah. That was the plan. That was the plan. That was the plan. Right. The plan was not to listen. You got to think about the time. You talking about the 80s. What came in the 80s at that time? Do you remember? Enlighten me. Crack did. Yeah. So we went from being people who literally were farmers and were the best farmers in America to drug dealers. Because now, instead of us living natural on the land and getting good nutrients from the soil, now our only means of making money, because we can't go in the workforce no more,
and we can't provide ourselves with food no more because they done made us cut down all our trees. Only way we can eat now is through what? Drug exchange.
Yeah, yeah, and let me tell you this. I don't mean to cut you off, but my dad, I live here in South Florida, and I'm about what 14 miles north of Fort Lauderdale, and west of Fort Lauderdale. Here, I live in Broward County. I know you've heard the Miami Dolphins there in Dade County. Yeah. But I live 34 miles north of Miami. My thing is, long story short, my dad was an advocate for the farmers here in Broward County back in the 50s and 60s. And he advocated, he was a civil rights, he was in the civil rights movement. And what he did was see the white folks wanted the white kids to go to school during the bean picking season. But the black kids had to go and pick beans. So he stopped that here in Broward County. Oh, they wanted us to go out there and pick the beans while the white kids were in school. A lot of mess was going on, and I kept that in memory. I said, wait a minute now, this is not right. This is not right. Yeah. And then right now in Florida, you got those, I don't know if those farmers still in existence right now, but those fields were big on string beans, big on tomatoes. But now, things have changed. Yeah. Nobody have no fruit trees in the yard no more. Nope. Nobody. Nope. And just like we would be playing in our neighborhoods, playing in our yard, then we could go to our own backyards and our neighbors' backyards and pick what we wanted to eat for a snack. Yep. Can't do that now. Nope. And it's hard. That's why I tell people have to start studying this thing called social engineering. And it's not our fault because what I'm saying we come up out of, like I tell people, we're only literally 2 generations out of slavery. People can try to say that Jim Crow wasn't slavery or that segregation wasn't slavery, but it is. Anytime you impede upon a person's, where they can and can't go and do this and what they can and can't do, that's slavery. So, we're only 2 generations out of slavery. My mom was born free and I'm born free. So I feel like, I still have a lot of work to do. And we have to understand the games that these people playing with this social engineering of designing these cities to literally take all the power and wealth away from you. And let me ask you this. What is wrong with your governor? I don't even, let me tell you something about California. California has always been an anti-black state. You know what I'm saying? They told us the same thing that they told y'all, that all of our fruit trees, were causing some kind of, mass fruit fly. And they've literally, what's so cold though, is that they made us cover up our cars. I'm old enough to remember this. They made us cover up our cars in the 80s while they went around and sprayed this stuff on there that could literally peel the paint off the car. And you know what? Just like I said, I remember in the 60s, this happened in the 60s too. They had a big, it wasn't a transport plane to transport the troops. It was like a airplane that would spray different things, dump water on forest fires or whatever. This plane would come by once a month and spray our neighborhood. Something was going on there. I don't know what. Yeah. But something was going on there back then. Yep. Yeah, they've been spraying. Listen to me, man. We've been at war with these people since we've been over here. They literally have been trying to, the same way they did with the Indians of destroying them, they've been trying to destroy us. They done put abortion clinics in our communities, liquor stores in our communities, pharmaceutical drugs that poison and kill us in our community, diseases such as AIDS, syphilis, and other sexually transmitted diseases in our communities. All those things they've been putting in our community to try to kill us, diminish our population and our numbers, all for the extent so they can bring in more Europeans to take over this nation, kick out anybody that was originally part of this nation, or
people that they deem to be unlikables, like black people, and then they create problems, and then they turn around and blame those same problems that they create. They blame it on us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the thing about it is, it's real easy to fix a society. It's real easy to fix hunger. It's real easy to fix a wealth gap. But why would you want to do that when your whole means of existence is to try to work towards killing black people? And that all coincides also when I tell black people, because we don't know, you know what I'm saying, is that when you read the Bible and you're reading a story about Jesus, you're reading a story about a man that they killed them, who they killed themselves too. You know, people gotta remember black people, man. The Romans killed Jesus. The Romans were white people. Jesus was black. And they treated every other black man the same way they treated Jesus. They crucified him and they killed him. And then they turn around and tell you that they worship him, but they really don't. They worship his death, not his life. That's right. And when you understand that, you'll understand why America does everything that it does to black people, not because they love us, respect us, and admire us. It's because they competing against us because they want to take over not just America, but the whole planet. That's right. Your show is very interesting. I just tuned in. I said, let me get on. I got something to say. And your topics are very interesting. Let me ask you something before I leave. Do you believe, I know COVID was out there, yeah, but why don't we hear tell of COVID right now? They have not eradicated that. What's going on with that? Where do you think that was genocide? Oh, of course it was. I have a person that I know personally. Her boyfriend went in there for COVID, and they killed them. People don't got to go back and look at it. COVID produces mucus. Wow. So when COVID produces mucus, it's like the flu. So they were purposely giving people the flu. Anytime you go get a flu shot, they're giving you the flu. So COVID produces mucus in your body, which produces, those symptoms. Why would you send people to the hospital and then put a respirator over their mouth, which would basically keep the mucus inside of their body that's being produced inside of their lungs? And then what would it do? It would drown you. You would drown in your own mucus and you would die. So they were purposely killing people. But the thing about it is, it didn't work that good because a lot of people weren't going to the hospital. But if you did go to the hospital, you were probably going to die. Let me tell you something about this. Oh, this is so interesting. But I know you have other people that want to come on. My thing is, I had a friend that had her fiance. He was in the military. And that October of that same year before COVID broke out, he told her, he said, baby, he said, get ready for something big is going to happen. So she said, what? What you talking about? Yeah. What's going on? So he said, I know something that's going to affect the whole country. He said, I can't tell you right now. That was a few months, at least 2 or 3 months before COVID broke out. That the end of, I think it was 2021. I think it's 2021. And I said, she called me and she said, Rosemary, she said, my fiance just called me and told me about something supposed to happen. I said, what? So the military knew before we knew. And to what I understand, they kept it on the wraps. They kept it on the wraps. And then when it broke out, they wanted to blame China. It's a lot of stuff. Well, you gotta remember, it's a lot of stuff that we did not know that the military knew, and they didn't even say nothing. You gotta remember the first COVID died from that. Well, what happened? The first. What happened? And then they wanted to get rid of Fauci, throw him across the Potomac. Our governor of Florida said he wanted to throw him across the Potomac. I said, wait a minute, somebody's lying. Somebody's not telling the truth about this thing. Well, you got to remember, and that's why I always tell people, COVID first started off in China as SARS. I don't know if people remember that. But SARS was an epidemic that started off up in China of a flu-like virus, but it wasn't used as a means of uh, uh, um, protecting the people. It was more control for the government. So what they did was they had all of these checkpoints, and you had to go through these meters, and it would check your body temperature. And if your body temperature was over a certain limit, you were deemed that you might have COVID because what the mechanism of the body is in order to get rid of disease, it heats the body up to the point where the disease can't function inside of the body. Basically, you become a solar power being, and the body's trying to get rid of the disease, and that's how they was using as a way of detecting it.
Yes, and that thing spread around the world so quick. I said, wait a minute now, somebody, this
Yeah,
John
that was
is
all
so out of
fake.
the
That was all fake. Yeah, yeah,
what happened to that? These funeral homes would have been overwhelmed.
yeah,
Overwhelmed.
yeah.
It's still somebody's still not telling the truth about that.
Well, you got to remember the outcome too. The outcome was a whole lot of people's businesses folded, and the only businesses that were allowed to operate were the box stores. My business as an optician, they told me that because I deal with people's eyes, I have a means of spreading the disease faster amongst people. So I had to literally shut down my business because, you know, the people that I was paying rent to, the whole my establishment, they don't want to hear, oh well, this, that, or whatever. They just want to know where the money at. So a lot of people businesses got destroyed because they weren't able to keep going. But the only people that was allowed to do businesses were the people that was deemed as what did they call them? Um, I can't remember. Remember they called everybody. They literally that was like pissing in everybody's face. Excuse my language. Yeah. But they tell that those people were I can't forget what the name was. I'm gonna say it's the most necessary people or the most reliable. Uh, um, I forgot what they call somebody in the chat. Tell me what did they call everybody that was still allowed to work while everybody else had to stay home and quarantine themselves? I forgot the word. I can't even think of it right now. Mine went blank. Mine did too, but it's something like the I forgot what it is. It's essential workers. There you go. Appreciate that in the chat. Everybody, yeah, everybody else was non-essential, and then the only people that could work was the essential workers, and everybody else was considered to be non-essential, meaning that they didn't really play a part in the society of keeping the society going during the times of COVID. You know what I'm saying, at that particular time. But it just shows you that, you know what I'm saying, when the same thing like we're talking with the fruit and stuff like that, their whole thing has always been about controlling the people, enslaving the people. As long as they got the people enslaved, they can control you. Like I was telling y'all about the other day, their freedom comes through domination. They want to dominate the society so that they can have the means to do all of the Epstein stuff that they want to do. And listen at this. They said Bill Gates may have had something to do with it. Well, I wouldn't doubt it. This us all the elite. All the elite was okay. The elite of the society that's, saying that get the word on what's going on, they've already been prepared. I can go show people some old videos of the elite stacking up uh, um, bird flu uh, um, virus protection in their houses in the early 2000s. So they already knew that this was coming already. But it's the majority of the society, because a lot of society is constantly caught up with entertainment. They don't see the pattern of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? No, they don't. What's that place called? Pfizer and I forgot what the pharmaceutical company was, but they made a whole bunch of money. Yeah, they made a whole bunch of money during COVID, while everybody else got poor, and a lot of businesses still ain't been running because of COVID. That's right. That's right. A lot of businesses here in Florida went down. Yeah. So, if you don't listen, think about it. If you don't produce your own eggs and they turn it and they raise the prices up to $10, You can't do nothing about it.
Went to Walmart, eggs was almost $10.
$10. And that's our fault because we don't have no chickens in the backyard like we used to have. We don't have no fruits in there. We let them talk us out of all of that.
We used to have chickens and ducks in our yard when I was growing up. My dad had a pen for them.
Yep.
Sure enough did.
Yeah.
Sure enough did.
Yeah.
That was back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. We've lost our own personal means of production for our own families and our own communities. So we can't get mad when everybody comes in our communities and starts selling us stuff because we don't have nothing to sell no more because they done talked us out of all of our little resources. You think about it. If we inside of the city, right, and everybody in the city got a fruit tree, right, and then we turn around and say, hey, you know what? When Kwanzaa come up, we gonna go harvest all of these fruits, right? Harvest all of these eggs and all of these things that we want for ourselves, right? And then we start, saying, have our own celebrations. Now we ain't gotta go to Walmart. Now we ain't gotta go to Vons because we already.
Yeah, they didn't want us to have our own mango trees. We got different types of mangoes here in Florida. Oh man, they didn't even want us to have that.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to sell them in the grocery stores.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. But I'm not going to keep you any longer. This was so interesting. How often do you be on?
I strive to come on every day around 11 o'clock Pacific time.
Uh-huh.
Just to, right now, what I'm saying, that's why I love talking to the elders because y'all see it. The youth right now, they don't have the memory that you have of actually being able to see like, wow, we had our own fruit trees.
In the civil rights movement, yeah.
Yeah. They don't see it. I see it because I'm in my 40s and I have I ain't gonna call it a genius mind, but as an artist, what I'm saying, as a societal, a civilization builder, what I'm saying, that's in my blood, I can actually look around in society and see ways of society improving itself. You know what I mean? So, when I look around in society and I see how it looks now and how, what I'm saying, infested it is with drugs and how, what I'm saying, dirty the streets are. I remember when a time when it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? And then when I study through history, I can go back and point back to all of the presidents who have actually made this society worse because of their anti-black hate.
Uh-huh. I don't know what's wrong with California governor. Y'all my governor went.
Well, yeah, it's not just California, it's all of them. You know what I'm saying? They all, anywhere where black people are at, man, they're trying to make our lives worse.
What city you in?
I was born and raised in Compton.
Compton.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, growing up in Compton is like a little farm town. So, we have horses, we have all of that. Not as big as it used to be, but, what I'm saying, we still have a lot of those things in Compton. But the amount of fruit trees and stuff like that we used to have just throughout LA within itself, man, is incredible. But now, it's nothing like that. And now everybody's dependent upon the store. And if you don't have a means of, a job or something like that, you're just done out here. You feel me?
okay. Okay. Well, has been an interesting talk. I'm telling you, I really enjoyed. And you keep up the good work because what I know, what you're saying, you did your research, you did your homework. And the thing is, I'm a retired school teacher. And I'm up on Black history because it happened to me and my family in Macon, Georgia. And it was really, really something stupid. It was really something ignorant on those people's part. But my dad, he just wrote it off, and then we left the place. They refused to serve us breakfast in one restaurant in Macon. And my dad just let them fix the breakfast and walked out. They said we had to come to the back of the establishment to pick it up. They could have did anything to that breakfast, spit in it, do anything else they wanted to do.
Yep.
So my dad didn't even get the breakfast. We just walked out. So times have changed, so to speak, but look like you say when things remain the same. So,
Man.
but anyway, it was very interesting talking to you and being one of your listeners. I'm going to tune in again. I hope I can catch you.
Well, yeah, I'll be on tomorrow for sure, for sure. You can always join and become a member of my channel. I have a lot of older videos that I have done on similar subjects. I kind of, yeah, I have a very, very extensive channel. So you can check my channel out. Make sure you subscribe, and you can also check out my website. It's called jewelsfromthethrone.com. I'll put it in the description after this show. You can check it out. It's called jewelsfromthethrone.com. I'm an artist. I appreciate it, Queen. I really do. You know what I'm saying?
All right, then. You have a lovely day.
You too.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, if anybody else want to call in, the number is 323-497-6825. You know what I'm saying? 323-497-6825. Please, if you have anything that you want to relay on the subject or anything, memories that you have, or you see it inside of your own society of how we're constantly becoming more and more dependent upon the government for literally every little thing a part of our life. And if you are working towards your own personal independence, and trying to free yourself from the bondage that is the American capitalist society, please call in at 323-497-6825. That's 323-497-6825. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all, the elders see it. The youth don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't born in those days to actually see inside of the society, you know what I'm saying, the plentifulness of it. You know what I'm saying? When you want to enslave a people, and I'm not just talking about black people, but white people too. When you want to enslave a people, you have to take away their own personal means of production. You have to convince them that living in an apartment is more fabulous than having your own land. The only way you can do that is you have to miseducate them. You have to convince them at a young age that the things that actually free them are harmful to them or it's too much work. Nobody wants to sit around, like Binary Ghost said earlier. Nobody wants to sit around and be making bread all day. Because if you sit around and make bread all day, you won't be able to go and work for your boss. You can't make bread all day and work for your boss. Those two things won't match. But if you want to be free, then you have to make your own bread all day, every day. Or, and that's why I was trying to explain to him why bread costs anywhere between $1 and $5 now for a loaf. It's not because of inflation. It's because the people don't make their own bread no more. So the elites who do make these foods for you, they can charge any price that they want to, because now who are you going to go to? You can't make your own bread. If we was to really design the education system that was working towards freeing people from elementary school to high school, a lot of the so-called inflation that you see in America will be non-existent, because people will be making their own means of everything. From the clothes that they wear, to the shoes that they wear, to the houses that they will build themselves, to the food that they will provide for themselves. And you can't say, oh, well, these companies and stuff do it better, because They just overcharge you. Everybody's trying to make a profit. And everybody's trying to increase their bottom line off of you. Like I tell y'all all the time, the American people are the richest people in the world. But it's a consumer-based economy. The Chinese and everybody else across the world make things for us that we consume. Not because we don't have the mentality or the brain power to make it for ourselves. It's because you've been educated not to, or miseducated. I know how to shape and gold. I know how to shape and mold gold, but I educated myself on something I learned in school. I educated myself on that because I didn't want to practice in the same culture that enslaves our people. I didn't want to be a participant in that. So, when I tell people, hey, a lot of the things that you're suffering from in society, even the white people, is because the society was not designed to free people, but to enslave them. Because how can capitalism grow unless it takes from you? In order for them to increase their bottom line, they have to sucker you out of another dime and nickel. Some way, somehow. And for some people, they benefit from it, and some people they don't. But I don't think that it's by mistake that you got more drugs inside of the community than you have fruit and vegetables. There's more drugs that are available to the people in the community than there is fruits and vegetables. I'll end on that note. We'll build on something else tomorrow. You'll know what this is. It's the Nesubiti Menkepera Thutmosis the Great. Please check out my website, jewelsfromthethrone.com. Get you some of this good sour sop. Get those parasites out of your body. You can check it out on jewelsfromthethrone.com. Please join my channel. Become a member of my channel. That's the best way you can support it. Peace and blessings to everybody out there. May Ra continue to bless you as you live in the divine light of the universe. Remember, every day you walk outside, you're walking into the starlight of Ra. Hotep, peace and blessings.